chasing stars and holding you.
Hi everyone, welcome to our channel where we do and break and make, no, we make and break everything big.
Yeah,
And
what she's,
I don't know.
yeah, I'm going to show you guys what she's talking about. Concerns the pole barn. And I do a lot of stupid things in my life, but you guys aren't going to believe this one. Not going to be in this episode, but it will be in the completion pole barn episode when I take you guys on the tour. But that's not why we're here today.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Meantime, we're going to show you what we do with our tomatoes.
Yeah, and that's all four of my grandparents are Sicilian. What I'm about to show you is our family recipe for spaghetti sauce, red sauce, Sunday gravy, all the different names that we Italians have for that. The recipe is at least 100 years old. I know it came from my great-grandmother, possibly from her mother in the old country too. Spaghetti, pasta, one of the reasons, well, in Tessa's culture, in the Asian culture, rice is so popular simply because it's cheap. These are impoverished people living, hand to mouth. Same thing in Sicily, where my ancestors come from, and in the boot of Italy as well. So flour was plentiful, so they'd make their pasta, they'd get some tomatoes, and then make sauce. What we're going to show you does have meat in it. That's actually the secret ingredient, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So let me show you what you're going to need. So as far as equipment, nothing really special. I'm going to be cooking in this Le Creuset that's a little more shallow than I normally would cook in, mainly because I want to show you guys some of the various steps. Normally I'll do it in a deeper pot. You'll need something for your tomatoes. You're going to need bay leaves, salt and pepper, some sugar, some cheese, some tomato paste, and then over here, you could say I've already chopped up basil from the garden. This is oregano from the garden, fresh garlic, onions, maybe 1.5. I'm not sure if I'll use all those. I'll see how the tomatoes puree. A good dry wine, of course, we like Chianti. Here is the star of the show, the second star of the show. The star of the show is the tomatoes. We've got pork ribs, meatballs, and sausage. If this looks a little funny, that's because me, your know-it-all chef, forgot to defrost the sausage. We get it from an Italian provision store. My grandparents used to go to this same store. The sausage is phenomenal. Here is the star of the show. These have not been canned. They were simply jarred by Tess this morning. They were picked just a couple days ago. I just asked her to put them in the jars just because I'm used to the quantities, and this helps me. So what we're going to do first, and excuse the noise. Now, I'm going to say this. We prefer a pureed sauce. Some like it chunky, some like it really chunky. I mean, you could take these tomatoes, let me grab a spoon here, and throw them in a pan and have these as your base and not even chop them up. There are people that do that. They call it a marinara sauce. Whatever you prefer. Again, we like them pretty well pureed. See if I can get these in here. Yeah. So what I normally will do is there is no liquid, only the water that was just in the process. So we're starting slow.
I can't see the end, but I'll see it through.
Now, safety, if those were hot, you would never want to do what I just did as far as filling this up like this. All right, how's that for luck? So, give you an idea, here's the consistency. It's not, I don't know, what would you call it? It's not applesauce, it's more watery than that. You get the idea. So put this over here. This is the oregano that's from the garden. If you don't, this is how oregano grows. What you don't want to do is have this stem. It's really woody. It's not pleasant. So you just kind of strip the leaves off of it. As I make a mess. I didn't say I was necessarily the neatest cook. All right. My opinion, when you're making something homemade, we're not trying to get to a store-bought consistency with anything. I like the rusticness of the sauce. This is from scratch. This is as from scratch as you get. Fresh herbs, fresh tomatoes. The only thing we didn't grow is the garlic and the onions. These onions, anyhow. All right, so that's it. Again, I'm not concerned about getting every last leaf chopped up because I want the rusticness. So that's prepared. Next, everybody's got their own way of dicing a tomato.
Onion.
Oh yeah, thank you. This is not a tomato, this is an onion. Thank you, sweetheart. We hope you're enjoying this type of video. We've said in the past, we try to be as diverse as possible with our content. We have a whole lot of tractor videos coming up. Please stay tuned for those. And, once again, we sure do appreciate your support. And if you do like this kind of video, once again, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'd like to continue. And we do thank you all for your support. We really, really do. Being in the kitchen is it's just what I love. All right, so garlic, fresh head of garlic, of course. We're not going to go through all of this and not put fresh garlic in. Biggest mistake that I see people make with garlic is burning it. I mean, it should be lightly brown. It should not be black. It should not be a dark brown. What happens is the garlic gets very, very bitter. All right, we've got our garlic ready. We've got our onions ready. We have our herbs ready. We have our meat ready. And, one last thing with regarding safety knives. I've had these knives about 30 years. I even had brought them into the restaurant when I worked there. And there's nothing that will hurt you more than a knife that is not sharp. People sometimes get afraid of sharp knives. That's when a knife will slip off, and that's when you'll get. Another star of the show, Chianti. You can use any dry wine you have. By the way, if you don't know how to open a bottle of wine, if you've got all those fancy contraptions, this is what you find in every restaurant, nothing more than this. Has a little cutting blade, and on the bottle there's a ridge here. And if you just put your blade in that ridge and cut around, somebody's gonna leave in the comments that I'm doing it wrong, maybe I am. Take that cap off, close that up, pull out the screw, and you're gonna wanna go right, I don't know if you can get there, honey, as close to the middle of the cork as you can, and screw it in, not all the way, okay? And the way there's two ridges on here. You're gonna wanna go to the one most shallow first. I've actually gotta back it off a little bit. Get it on the edge of the bottle, start coming up, stop, or you'll break the cork. Go down to, actually that's coming out fine using just that one. I'm opening this because I want to let it breathe. This is critical. This is going to be used for deglazing. So, deglazing is a simple process to remove all the little bits at the bottom of the pan after you brown meat. Any acid will work. You can deglaze with lemon juice or, apple juice, any acid. Obviously, you don't want that flavor in your sauce, so we're going to be using red wine. There, I just added some olive oil. Use the red wine at a high temperature. I'll show you that process in just a moment, and that'll remove all those beautiful little bits at the bottom of the pan. Now, notice this is a gas stove. I've got it on medium. That's getting pretty hot. Here's a way to tell. Put a little water on your fingers, and if you can hear that, we're ready to go. Now, people will say, well, how do I know how long to brown them for? Well, first of all, don't crowd the pan. I'm going to be able to get all the sausage in easily, but I'm not going to try to put anything else in. You can see I broke some of the sausage up. I like to do that. Not everybody wants a whole piece of sausage. The meat will tell you when it's time to turn it. Don't be concerned about browning every single inch. What we're trying to create are little bits And you're going to see those in the bottom. We're going to deglaze with that red wine. Little bits in the pan. That gives you your flavor. The pan will tell you, see right now, it's sticking, okay? Once it releases, once you can move it easily, it's time to turn. Don't force it, especially with the meatballs, they will fall apart on you. And cut it. You see how the meat's moving? Again, I'm not trying to get a dark crust on here. I mean, you could do it. Here's what we're after. If you can see these little bits in the bottom, that is what is going to make our sauce fantastic. So I'm going to flip these over. And again, what's not helping is this sausage was frozen. Dumb old me. But see this right here, this brown right here, that's what you're looking for. And you can see it on that link as well. All right, sausage is done. So now in go the meatballs. Try to give yourself some room in the pan. The meatballs are probably going to give you the hardest time. They're going to have a tendency to want to break up. I'm not going to put the pork in, not yet. I want to let that. What impedes the browning process is the temperature dropping in the pan. Hey, I want to say one thing too. You notice with fresh herbs, I put oregano in. Some families don't like oregano in their spaghetti sauce. Some will say oregano's for pizza. Matter of preference. If you don't like it, cut back. Maybe you think it's too pungent, you cut back, leave it, whatever your preference is. Here's what you're looking for. Notice the brown crust that's developing on the meatballs. I waited until they released and then flipped them. And again, look at the pan, all the little bits. It's like gold.
Smells good in here. Smells like an Italian kitchen.
Well, because it is. Take a look at the bottom of the pan. You can see the brown, you see the little bits. So this is where things start. See, I'm scraping them. Here's your flavor. Here is your depth of flavor. Now I'm going to turn it up to high. And I got maybe about a cup of Chianti, and I'm scraping the bits. Loosening them up. And I'm sorry about the steam. If it were not for the steam, you could see the bottom of the pan is almost clean of bits. I'm keeping it on high. I could make up some baloney excuses here, but having to cut through the existing audio, you know why? Smoke detector's going off. Yeah, I don't have the range hood fan on because I was afraid it would distort the audio or the video. I just added some tomato paste in, and you want to cook that tomato paste for a few minutes because if you don't, it'll have kind of a bitter taste to it. Yeah, so smoke detector. Hey, if smoke detector's not going off, you ain't cooking. So what I'm going to do now, hopefully without making a mess, is I'm going to get all the tomato in. And I'm going really slow to keep it from splattering if I can. So what I didn't show you is the sauteing of the onions and the garlic. I don't think you really need to see that. And now I'm adding the herbs. And I'm going to put the meat. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is check for consistency. This is going to cook 2.5 to 3 hours. So again, this is a matter of personal preference. We like our sauce a little bit loose. Yeah, that's going to be fine. Again, it's going to reduce because it's going to cook for 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay, now in goes all the meat, and any drippings on your plate, make sure those go in. Shove the pork in. Give it a little stir. Okay, salt and pepper. You know, I have to apologize. I'm not giving you guys quantities. It's just not the way that I was taught. You adjust any way you want. But what I'll tell you is this. Who's ever eaten a tomato without salt and pepper? So don't be afraid, don't be skippy. But again, don't overdo it. You know, that's the old saying, you can add it, you can't take it away. And again, I apologize, you did not see, I threw a couple bay leaves in there. My dad taught me this. This is grated cheese. I'm gonna use my hand, my clean hand, kind of show you how much I'm putting in. And just kind of a heaping fistful. And lastly, and again, this is where families differ. Some like a sweet sauce. Some like a tart sauce. I'm going to step behind you. I need to get a spoon. We're kind of in between. What I know Tess particularly does not like is a very acidic sauce. So sugar. In this batch, I'm going to start with about 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. So it's at this point that I'll tell you that this made, I'm going to guess, about a gallon of sauce. We ate it that night. And I figured a per serving cost, it's less than $2, meat and all. I will divide this up. We will get approximately 3 meals out of this sauce. And that's 5 people. So when I say about $2 a person, you know, I just don't think you could beat the cost. You've got pasta, you've got very little meat, considering that overall it's going to be 10 to 15 meals. And they're filling meals. I promise you, you know, you just don't get a better comfort food than spaghetti and meatballs. I don't believe. Just simmering away, and that's what you want. You want to see bubbles rising to the top. As I'm stirring all the way to the bottom of the pan to make sure we don't have anything sticking. Well, we're moving along. Salad's made. Wine is ready. Bread from the bakery. And I put the heat under the water. By the way, when you're doing pasta, don't put olive oil on the water. If you're afraid of it sticking, you'll see that what we're going to do is add a little sauce right to the pasta. And if you coat it with olive oil, it is going to not allow the sauce to coat the pasta. We're simmering nicely. I've actually taken the cover off just a little bit to reduce. And we're going to cook some pasta here shortly and be ready to go. Water's boiling. And in goes the pasta. Now I did salt this water. That's important.
Smells really good in here. It's gonna be a nice dinner.
Is return the pasta to the pot. And then, so like we talked about, not wanting your pastas to stick, very simple. We'll rinse it in cold water. If you do that,
it stops the cooking.
It stops the cooking. It doesn't allow the sauce to absorb. We hope you enjoyed this. You know, I think as Americans, we don't eat enough as a family anymore. Taking the time to make a meal for your family, I just think is just an absolute blessing. And I'm starting to dish out now. We've got our salad, got our bread, and we sure have our wine. And we have each other, and the kids will start gathering around the table here pretty soon. We hope that you enjoyed this. And make it, try it. Ciao, manja. For joining us. If you have any questions on making this, let me know in the comments. We sure would appreciate a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Tractors in Life.
dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind. Fly